Listen for the word of God for us today from Matthew 2, verses 1 through 12. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born, King of the Jews? For we have observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem with him. And calling together all of the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for it has been written by the prophet, 'And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to be shepherd to my people Israel.'" Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they sent out, and there, ahead of them, went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. A word of God that is still speaking. Thanks be to God.
So a story by Paul Fluke called The Secret of the Gifts. Legend tells us that the three visitors in Matthew were named Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthasar. The story's been told for centuries now how these three brought gifts to the newborn king. And you know the story. They brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh, or so it has been told. But the story is incomplete. Listen to the rest. You shall learn the secret of the gifts. Those who watched saw the first of the three visitors pause at the door, Gaspar, a wealthy man with a cloak of fine velvet trimmed in flawless fur. They could not see that it was the angel Gabriel guarding the holy place before whom Gaspar stopped. "All who enter must bring a gift," Gabriel told Gaspar. Struggling to lift a finely wrought box, Gaspar said, "I have brought bars of the finest gold." "Your gift," Gabriel said, "must be something of essence of yourself, something precious to your soul." "Such as I have brought," Gaspar said. But as he knelt to lay his gold before the child, he stopped and stood erect. In his outstretched hand lay not gold, but a hammer. Its scarred and blackened head was larger than a man's fist, its handle of sinewy wood as long as a man's forearm. And Gaspar stammered, dumbfounded. The angel said softly, "What you hold in your hand is the hammer of your greed, used to pound wealth from those who labor so that you may live in luxury, to build a mansion for yourself, while others live in hovels." Gaspar bowed his head in shame and turned to leave, but Gabriel blocked the way. "You have not offered your gift," he said. "Give this?" Gaspar blurted out in horror. "Not to a king." "Well, this is why you came," Gabriel said. "You can't take it back. It's too heavy. Leave it here or it will destroy you." "Why, the child cannot lift it," Gaspar protested. "He's the only one who can," said the angel. Next to step to the door was Melchior, the scholar with the length of his beard and the furrows of his brow to bespeak of the wisdom of age. And he too paused before the door. "What have you brought?" asked Gabriel. "Frankincense, the fragrance of hidden lands of bygone days," he replied. "Your gift," cautioned Gabriel, "must be something precious to your soul." Melchior stood breathless, kneeling reverently down to draw from beneath his robe a silver flask. But the vessel in his hand was not silver at all, it was clay, tough and stained. And aghast, he pulled the stopper from its mouth and sniffed its contents and said, "This is vinegar." "You have brought what you are made of," Gabriel said. Bitterness. The soured wine of a life turned grim with jealousy and hate. Carried within too long the memory of old hurts, hoarded resentments, and smoldering anger. You have sought knowledge, but you have filled your life with poison. Melchior's shoulders drooped, and turning his face away, he tried to hide that earthen jar. Gabriel touched his arm. You must leave your gift. He sighed with the pain deep within. But this is vile stuff, he protested. What if the child should touch it to its lips? You must leave that worry to heaven, Gabriel said. There is use even for vinegar. One more visitor strode forward, Balthasar, the leader of many legions and scourge of walled cities. He grasped a brass-bound box. I bring myrrh, he said, the most precious booty of my boldest conquest. Many have fought and died for such as this, the essence of a most rare herb. But is it the essence of yourself? Gabriel asked. The soldier shuffled forward, bowing his head near the ground, and released his grip on the handle of the box. But what he lay before the baby's feet was his own spear. It cannot be, he whispered hoarsely. Some enemy has cast a spell. That's more true than you know, Gabriel said. 1,000 enemies have cast their spell on you and turned your soul into a spear. Living only to conquer, you have been conquered. Each battle you win leads only to another. Balthasar grasped the weapon and turned to the door. I cannot leave this. Are you sure? Asked Gabriel. But here, the warrior whispered, he's but a child. The spear would pierce his flesh. That fear you must leave to heaven, Gabriel said. So what of the gifts, you ask, the hammer, the vinegar, and the spear? Well, of course, there's another story that tells how they were seen once more years later on a lonely hill outside of Jerusalem. But don't worry. That's a burden heaven itself took care of, as only it can. What gift do you bring to the manger? Like those 3 early visitors, we would like to give the best of what we have, the essence of who we are, something impressive, something valuable, something that has meaning. I mean, just think of you trying to find a gift for a close friend or someone you really care about. You want to find just the right gift that says something of yourself to that person. Well, in our discipleship, we also seek to offer our gifts. Time, talents, resources, imagination, love. Some of you have heard the song, Give of Your Best to the Master, and that's what we want to give, and that's what we ask of each other. But did it ever occur to you that our best may not be what Christ wants? He didn't come to take our best. He came to take our worst. Sometimes what we hold most dear, what we protect most securely, is not what is most valuable. It's what's most costly. Our sorrows, our failures, our shame, our guilt. Those things we tend to hide from others and sometimes even from ourselves. The things we find hardest to let go. And yet that is precisely what Christ wants of us. That we let go of those things. We let go of those things that stop us from being the persons God created us to be. Those things that hide Christ's image in us. I've told you, I'm sure, about my friend Randy, heroin user, drug dealer. You might remember when he OD'd, he was arrested, ended up in the hospital, and he had an epiphany that his addiction was hiding his own hate of himself. And in that epiphany, he saw Christ come to him and tell him he was loved. It's one of the few people I know who's had an experience like that where it really truly did change his life 180 degrees. He became not just a pastor, but a counselor in the juvenile court system in California, using his experience, his worst, to help youth who were headed down that same path. We could never know how God is going to take our worst and use it for good. But if we're not willing to let go of it, if we're not willing to lay it at the feet of the manger, we're never going to find out, and we're never going to be offering our best. Today we're going to be ordaining and installing elders and deacons for our church. Those of you who will be coming forward to that, think about, what is the gift you bring today? What do you need to lay down so that you can offer your best? And it's the same question for all of us. What do you need to lay down? What are the lies you have been carrying with you, the lives you have been believing that are not life-giving? What are the hurts that you have built this protective armor around so you can't be hurt anymore, but that stopped you from really engaging with others? What do you need to lay down so you can offer your best? I'm just going to leave you with that question today, because it's not my job to answer that for you. It's yours. What is the worst you need to lay down so you can offer your best?